All right, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those books that are still probably tucked away in those cheap boxes, those dollar boxes, just some things based off of the recent news, rumors, some announcements, some speculation, some first appearances that you can still find like tucked away in those cheap boxes, potentially. Just things that are worth keeping an eye out for. Some more valuable than a dollar. Others might just be some fun books to hunt down as far as like a scavenger hunt kind of a idea behind them. Just again, just some fun books to keep this hobby, fun, basically. Let's just enjoy comics for what they are. Hopefully you're enjoying that as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Join memberships if you are so inclined. If you want to get some t-shirts and some free merch and some other free fun stuff, feel free to check it out and give us a try there as well and hit that join button down below. That all said, if you want to see what books I have for you this week, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so first up, we're going to hit a news item that we actually talked about on the Tax Show a little bit last night, and that was the new leader of the new Midnight Suns team. And this is Suns with a U, not an O. And while Magic, see, Marco almost got me saying Magic again, but while Magic is going to be the leader of this team is not the same team as the original OG one from back in the 90s. But it's still worth noting that that team did exist and that one kind of spawned this whole idea. So while Blade may be like the only OG member from that original crew that's on the new roster, it's still worth looking at that original team. So everybody goes and hunts that Ghost Rider 28. These are polybag that come with the poster pieces as well. You can find them outside of the polybag in a lot of cases too. And there was a lot of these. There still is a lot of these. So while the prices have gone up on a book like this, these can still sometimes be found on those cheap boxes. So it is still worth noting that this is in the cheap boxes or potentially in the cheap boxes because I've found tons of them over the years. And while the last year or so, these may have gotten more sparse in those cheap boxes, that doesn't mean more won't pop up there depending where you do your hunting. That said, this is issue 28, which starts that Rise of the Midnight Sun storyline that ran throughout, Ghost Rider and Morbius, and you had Darkhold and all that. But it's not really the team's first. Yes, there is a vision inside the issue, and it's really just this one page like spread of kind of like a vision of this team, but they're not a team yet. So it's not really, I don't even know if you want to call it a cameo, but that's all you're getting in this book. Just so you're aware of what's inside in the guts of these books and what you're paying your money for, that's all you're getting out of Ghost Rider 28 as far as the Midnight Suns go. But that still doesn't mean that this book doesn't sell well, which it kind of still does. As I mentioned, this book can still sell for $20 to $40 raw on the aftermarket, and those are some recent sales right there, both on August 4th today. That $20 was today, and that $40 was yesterday. And what the asking prices are, it's still, you can find some cheap ones asking only maybe like $15 or so, and then up to like 25. And again, prices all over the place, but there are plenty of copies out there. And like I said, whether they're in the poly bag, outside of the poly bag, you could find these if you go digging. I'm telling you, they're still out there. But that's what you get with 28. The other one you really want to look for is 31. And that's really the first appearance of the team in the context of the story where you see them actually come together. So make sure you don't ignore 31 because for a while people were. Now they've kind of picked up and the prices have kind of balanced out. They're kind of about equal. But for a while there, these were just ignored, basically. Like the rest of the Rise of the Midnight Sun story, and those books, like a lot of them were ignored because again, this was heavily printed. There are a lot of copies out there, and there's still a good chance that this still might be ignored by a lot of places. So, be on the lookout for it. But as I said, in this one, you actually do get in story this team coming together to, face Lilith here. So keep that in mind. This is really the real first, I guess you want to say. I don't know if you want to make that claim, but just so you know the difference. The one was just like a preview panel, basically of the team and like a vision. This is the actual team coming together. So just know what you're buying. You make the call of whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to put your money towards. Regardless, just look for it in the cheap boxes. I'm not telling anybody to go buy these at market prices, which for this one, as I said, is getting closer to that other book. And look, some copies have sold for $15, and look, $9 there just yesterday for both of these sales. And that $9 was with 2 other Ghost Rider books as well. It's part of a lot. So keep an eye out for lots as well. That's another cheap way to kind of find some of these books that may not be the super hot keys, but might have a little bit of intrinsic value to them on the aftermarket. So you might be able to sneak them like that one as part of a lot. That said, what are the asking prices for this one? In that same kind of range of like $7 to $25. So 10 to 25 bucks. It's getting pretty close to 28 these days. So be mindful of both. Now we're going to move on from Marvel, hop on over to, well, Vertigo, really, not really DC, but Vertigo. And let's look at first Merv Pumpkinhead, because, Mark Hamill, they just showed a little clip of, Sandman, which is going to start tomorrow. So if you got Netflix, I'm looking forward to checking it out tomorrow, the Sandman series. And here we have Merv Pumpkinhead. I believe I've talked about him before. I'm not sure if I did it on this series or another one. I know we had the whole pumpkin heads back at Halloween where I did Pumpkinhead and Jack-o'-lantern. I thought I did Merv too, but maybe not. But regardless, Merv first appeared in a one-panel little cameo thing in Sandman #5. Now, I get it. This is an early issue Sandman book. The chances of you finding this in a dollar bin right now are probably pretty slim. I just want to mention it because this is his first. You can see there he's driving the car. That's all you're getting out of this book, and then he's not going to show up for a little while later. But just know what this book is, and that's why I'm going to give you some prices. I'm not expecting many of you to find this one in dollar bins. I mean, it can happen, but I just want to run through it while we're here because this is like a $30 book, as you can see, $30 sales, and the asking prices again 10 to 50. So there it is. Those are the prices on the original version of this book, the first print, Sandman #5. But I mentioned these before, the essential, the reprints of these books, and that's what you might be able to sneak out of the cheap boxes. These essential Vertigo reprints of, I think it was like half of the Sandman run. And there is, obviously, a reprint, Essential Vertigo for Preludes and Nocturnes for issue 5. So this is that issue again, reprinted here in Essential Vertigo. So this is the one you might be able to still find because, again, it's a reprint, I know, but it still has some value. Don't, just because it's a reprint, a later printing, whatever you want to call it, don't think it's completely worthless, because it isn't. It's not as worth as much as the original, but it still has some value. And while sales you can see here are as low as like $2, those also have high shipping from $15 from Australia, like $12 from France. So the international shipping really drives the prices up on those, but still could be cheap. You could see them selling for cheap, but you can also find some copies listed for a little bit more. In this case, $15. You can see it listed for like a lot of cases, $10 to $15. Yes, there's an MC, My Comic Shop, that's got it listed for $240, but that one's very good condition, so you're not getting a near mint copy for that price. So yeah, it's only a couple of bucks, but you might get a banged up one. Just so you know what you're buying. And again, this is the one you probably have a better chance of finding in those cheap boxes rather than the original. And yeah, still just a fun book just to go and check out. So if you're getting excited for Sandman, here's a book that you can go hunt for fun to get that first Merv Pumpkinhead. Now, we're going to hop over to Star Wars, a galaxy far, far away for a second, because there is, again, following up on the Sandman news, because Gwendolyn Christie plays Lucifer in that Netflix series. I guess part of the interviews and her doing all the shows and the things like that, she said that she had hoped to come back as Captain Phasma. And yeah, I agree. She did have an abrupt ending. They built this character up as to be something, and then she just kind of went out pretty quick in Last Jedi. But maybe we get a little bit more. Yes, there was a 4-issue miniseries, which we're going to get to in a second, but hopefully we get some. Maybe they'll get around to it. If her character is popular enough on the Netflix show that her as an actress might get a little more traction, and maybe they say, you know what, maybe they can do a little Disney Plus series focus on Captain Phasma. And if that were to happen, expect these books to pop. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying it's a possibility. And just in case, just be mindful of the comics to look out for, just in case. And her first appearance, or Captain Phasma's first appearance, is actually in Poe Dameron #2. I think this goes back to like July of 2017. Not sure. This actually came out before the adaptation for the film, The Force Awakens. So that's why this would be considered her first. Now, this thing got hot for a little while and was expensive for a little bit, but now it's kind of cheap again, all things considered. Copy sold for 15 cents. 15 cents. Granted, at 6.50 shipping, but still 15 cents. And then $4. So this thing has not been selling for a lot. Still her first appearance, still first appearance of the character. It's one you might be able to, again, pull out of those dollar boxes. Because I don't know about you, but when you find any modern Star Wars books in the cheap boxes, a lot of it's Poe Dameron. Not a lot of fans of that series for one reason or another. So I always see a lot of these. I see a lot of Chewbacca. I see a lot of Poe Dameron in there. Oh, and Princess Leia too for a while. But Poe Dameron is one. I've seen a lot of those issues just tucked away in those cheap boxes. And asking prices, again, not too much. $6 to $10 is kind of averages. But again, one sold for 15 cents. So keep that in mind too. So that would be the first appearance for Captain Phasma. But as I also noted, she did have a 4-issue mini. There are some variant covers, some incentive covers, a lot of cool things you can keep an eye out for, also for fun. But the regular 4-issue mini, it's pretty cheap. Still some cool covers. There's issue 1, and then we got issue 2, and then 3. I like the helmet in issue 4, which I use for the thumbnail for this video. Still some cool covers, and these things sell for not much money, really. Look at that. I mean, issue 1 best offer on $2.41. So they took less than $2.41. So it's a less than cover sale, less than $9 for the set of 4. So again, cheap books, even online, these are cheap. So there's a good chance you could find these just tucked away in those cheap boxes too. Asking prices as well, not that expensive. $3 for individual issues, or a lot of 4 for $10 plus shipping with best offer. They might even take less than that. So again, you can even get these cheap online, let alone finding them in cheap boxes. But just in case, if you're interested in the character, you want to see more of the character, this is one way to do it. Because outside of the couple of little minutes she had in the movies, and then you got the adaptation comics, this is really it. There's not a lot there for the character, but there's always potential for more. Okay, we're going to bounce away from Marvel again and Star Wars and go hop on over to DC for a second. Now, I know a lot of people might complain and hem and haw, and they're just not for me. I don't get it. But Connor Hawke, this is a character that's been around for a while, but recently in the DC Pride issue, Connor Hawke did come out to his mother as being asexual. Now, I know a lot of people, they're not interested. They don't understand. That's fine. Just understand that there are a lot of people out there who are different, and this stuff does resonate with them. I think inclusion and diversity is a good thing. I don't think they're fundamentally changing a lot of these characters by doing that. So I don't get upset when I see characters, they're changing them around, they're changing everything. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just a good thing. I think it's to reflect the world that we live in. I personally think it's a good thing for us to have some more diversity with our characters in our comics. And like I said, I don't think this fundamentally changes the character of Connor Hawke all that much. To me, I don't look at the character any differently. But if it does to you, that's fine. You're also welcome to your opinion as well. But just understand here on the channel, I am very open and very tolerant of things. So Connor Hawke, first appearance, you could still get this for cheap. Green Arrow #0, easy book to find. I mean, Jesus, 0 Hour. There's still tons of those out there. And I know DC's not the book people like to invest in these days, but that's a good opportunity for you to find these things for super cheap. So Green Arrow #0 from that 0 Hour time frame is one you can still find out there. Even you can see copies selling for as little as $3, $6. Asking prices kind of in that same $6 to $10 range. So it's not a pricey book for Connor's first appearance, but it's one that you could go and find probably. And even again, for that scavenger hunt kind of fun, go ahead and go look for it. But that's what I got for DC for this week. Not a lot for DC. Everybody wants to talk about Batgirl getting canceled, so there's no books for me to talk about Batgirl getting canceled, and no sense speculating on what other projects Warner Brothers might not come through with. Let's just leave it be and see what happens. And with that, Patton Oswalt apparently announced, if whether you want to believe it or not, that they're going to be making an Eternals 2. That the director's going to be back and they're going to make a sequel. I know we just did this on the TAC show last night, and this was one of the few fails of the Marvel Phase 4, because while this movie wasn't bad, it just really wasn't all that good either. It was a little uneven for me. There's bits about it that I did like, and there's bits about it I didn't like. But ultimately, it was just kind of, that's just my personal feeling. So there isn't a lot for me to look at because, again, I have no idea what the sequel for Eternals might be. So I'm going to focus more in on the after credits scene of the Eternals movie where we were introduced to Pip the Troll and Star Fox. I find that kind of interesting because this is Patton Oswalt also giving this interview after all. And remember, he is the voice of Pip the Troll. So I think that's him mentioning his future of doing more. Otherwise, why would he bring it up? So we may be seeing more of Pip and possibly Star Fox going forward. Now, one of the books I always think about with Pip the Troll, again, I know he goes back quite a ways. You got to go back to what Strange Tales 179, I think, his first appearance. You're not going to find that at a dollar box. He had a nice little run there on the original Warlock run, I think, in the 70s. Also, books, you're probably not going to find that, for cheap these days. But one that I remember from my time in reading comics as a youth was when I was reading Silver Surfer, was during the Infinity Gauntlet saga. And during those sagas, Silver Surfer number 46, where Silver Surfer and Drax get sent back into the soul, not back, but got sent into the Soul Gem, into Soul World, and this is where Adam Warlock returns. He also meets Gamora, and you see Pip. They're inside, like basically inside the gem, and Drax and he meet them all. So this is kind of a reintroduction, bringing Pip back from, I think they had him on the shelf for a while. So this is the book that I think about when I think about Pip the Troll personally, Silver Surfer 46. And you can still find this sometimes for cheap because there's a lot of Surfer books that just kind of pack in those boxes, especially during the Infinity Gauntlet saga, because that's when Surfer got more popular. So there were more printed. So there's a lot more copies out there. But they seem to find their ways into those cheap boxes. And I still have a lot of nostalgia for them. So I'll grab them every so often when I see them. But this particular book, since it's the return of Adam Warlock, also could do okay. I mean, $5 to $15 isn't a ton, but that's more than I would have expected for something like this. And some of the asks are actually a little higher, but in the most cases, you can still see it's in that like $10 to $15, $20 kind of range for this particular book. But again, it's all kind of predicated on the return of Adam Warlock, not so much like the return of Pip or and Gamora and all them in the Soul Gem there. But it is what it is. Just another fun book for you to go find out there and go check it out. Because, again, I love this run. This, right as they were leading up to 50 with that silver foil cover, there was some good covers. 47 wasn't bad, and 48. I think that was the one with Galactus's hand. I mean, some good stuff from back in that time. But, again, I'm a little biased. But that's Pip. And not only was it Pip, but we also had Star Fox, who, now, this is an appearance here. Again, first appearance of Star Fox is what? Avengers 232 or something like that. But chances of finding that one these days probably gonna be slim. Again, once this teaser came out, the little after credit scene, everybody went buying that book. All the rumors, speculation, people have kind of scooped that book up. So what else do we have? Well, we do know we're getting She-Hulk in like a week or two. And this was a fun little story. Well, actually, I shouldn't say fun little story. This is an interesting story that was told in this She-Hulk number 6. It was two issues over issues 6 and 7 from 2005. I forget which volume that ends up being for She-Hulk because, she has all these different volumes where they run like 12 issues and cancel and restart. But this had a interesting story. Like I said, I'm not going to say it's fun. And then we also get Pip in this run as well. He kind of pops up too. So issue 6, issue 7 is She-Hulk, and then issue 12 is where we're going to get Pip kind of bouncing back in here too. So I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about as far as these books go with the insides. Here in issue 6, we're getting this storyline with Star Fox where he's basically he's getting sent to trial for his power, which is the power of persuasion. So it's almost like him using that power on women to seduce them. And it's a crime, it's a criminal. It is something they're probably not going to tackle. I can't imagine them wanting to open in this day and age, with Me Too and everything. Can't see them wanting to tackle this kind of storyline on Disney Plus today. So I don't think we're getting Star Fox in She-Hulk to do this, but this is still an interesting story to go back and read. And now, in the context of today's mindset, you look at this and you go, wow. This is interesting, and Dan Slott tackled this pretty well. It was definitely an interesting take on his powers and his place, like I guess in the universe here. So and how people viewed it and back then. But that's in issue 6 and 7, that story, and then in issue 12 you get a little bit of a return for Pip here as well. You get a nice little joke there with him going underneath her, going commando. Yeah, kind of fun. Pip's always been fun. So just another little fun book that you can go find out. And then she also meets the Living Tribunal in this, She-Hulk that is. And, we're getting teases of that in the MCU. So who knows where all this stuff might end up going. Again, these are just fun comics for you to go look for and go find. Because some of these actually do all right already. So you look at this Star Fox issue, it's selling for $20-$25, whereas that issue 12 that had that Pip little scene in there, it's only like $5. But all these She-Hulk books have been selling pretty well lately. So keep that in mind if you do look into any of these, that you still might be, do all right. Decent Greg Horn covers on these as well. Asking prices is still in that same kind of range, $25 to $40 on that issue 6, and like $8 on the issue 12. And like I said, issue 7, which is the second part of the Star Fox story, it's also in that kind of same kind of $10 to $12 kind of range. So just keep that in mind as well. And I think I got one more for you. One more. We hit these books up before, and this is Haunted Mansion. I talked about the variants before because there are some hard to find incentive ratios. There's those Disney Park editions that you can only get at the parks. So there are some interesting variants that go along with the series of Haunted Mansion. But let's look into it a little bit further. And the news here is that Jared Leto and Jamie Lee Curtis are being cast in the film adaptation of Haunted Mansion. So we'll see what that means. I mean, I guess we're getting a different version beyond the Eddie Murphy one, but whatever. But before we get to the Marvel one, which I said with all the variants and all that stuff, there was another volume that came out in like 2005, 2006, earlier in the 2000s, whereas the Marvel one was like 2016. So like 10 years before, slave labor graphics actually had a Haunted Mansion series that ran about 7 issues. So finding any of these in a cheap box might be worth your while because these do all right. This is the same kind of this is the same publisher that did those Gargoyles books that I've talked about on Hidden Gems as well. So Slave Labor has some interesting products that they've come out with over the years that still has some interest even today. So here's issue 1. Definitely a creepier take on it, even just looking at the covers alone. Then we got issue 2 here, and then 3, and wait, where are they? Yeah, issue 3 and 4. Like, look at that dude with the little pistol. He's creepy. Issue 5. I don't know if this is a doll or what, but again, it's creepy covers. 6, and like I said, and 7. I mean, dude's hanging there on cover issue 6. That's like pre-code horror type stuff. And you got the Haunted Mansion there on issue 7. All stories inspired by the classic Disney attraction, the Haunted Mansion. Now, 7 issues, slave labor graphics. Yeah, may not be easy to find in the box, but this is kind of that weird, somewhat indie stuff that you might be able to pull out that has just been ignored and forgotten about, and do something with it because these things sell all right. Individual issues in anywhere in the kind of like $15 to $20 range. I mean, well, $10 to $20 range, let's just say. That's what recent sales have been. But as far as asking prices go, you can see here like $20 for issue 1, and then there's random like partial lots of like issue 1 and 2 was asking $45. Lot of 2, 4, and 6 asking $85. Like, these things can be anywhere from like $10 to $25 individually for any of the 7 issues. It doesn't seem to be a higher premium on issue 1 over the others. So if you find any of them for a cheap $1 price, $2 price, I'd say grab them, scoop them up, because they could be worth your while. Because I don't know how many of these were printed. I haven't dug that deep into the research, but I can't imagine it was that many. That said, that's not the only series. As we mentioned, we got the Marvel series, which came about a decade later, and even those do all right. And I'm not even talking about the hard to find variants that I've talked about on the other shows. Even just the regular series seems to do okay. Here's just issue 1. And then I think this was a 5-issue series. So we can go in and look at just issue 1 again. Issue 2, issue 3, got a bunch of ghosts. I think these are EM Gist covers as well. And I do like his art. And then I just left the issue 1 in the middle because it's 5, so it balanced easier by doing it this way. And you got issue 4, and you got issue 5. But ultimately, these things do okay. You can see issue 1 could be getting like $20 on its own, $60 for the set, our recent sale prices, which ain't too bad considering this is a weird Marvel property, and there's a good chance it's in an overstock type of box out there, because I don't think there were a lot printed, but at the same time, I still think there were enough ordered where they're still out there for you to go and find in those cheap boxes. So go ahead and go dig, because even online, the asking prices could be as cheap as $1. It could be like $10 to $20. There are 3 printings on that issue 1. That first cover, there's a 3rd print in the middle that's asking $20. And like I said, there's other variants. There's the Scotty Young cover. There's the Disney, the Disney exclusive. I think there's an action figure covers as well. Plenty of different books and different covers for this series to be, to be aware of when you're out there digging. But considering we're talking about dollar bin digging, the chances are you're just going to find cover A's. So just keep an eye out for those, because even those could be worth your time and effort. But who knows? And who knows if the movie of Haunted Mansion is going to drive these up anymore. But I still think interest just reminds people, and then people start to look, nostalgia starts kicking in, and then people start grabbing things. So if you find it for cheap, doesn't hurt to go and invest $1 or so in something like this, because all you lost is $1. So that all said, hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully you still enjoyed this series. I'm still having a lot of fun doing this and making all this content, so I'm glad you guys are still on board for it. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Again, like, subscribe, alert buttons, join up, all that fun stuff. Hit me up with a direct message if you want to chat about comics. I don't mind. I love talking comics. I love this stuff. This is my hobby, after all. And with that, I've got plenty more to come, so if you're still down for more content, I have more content for you. Make sure you check out the boys doing their pickup shows, their pickup show tomorrow on Friday, and we'll have the Star Wars show on Sunday. And then I'll restart my schedule again on Monday with Hidden Gems, Chasing Ghosts, Tack, Dollar Bin Digging, etc. So again, still plenty on the way. And with that, I'll see you guys later, and talk to you soon.